What to main in 12.1 when it comes to healers and tanks. That's right, I'm calling out the healers and tanks. I myself serve the WoW community every day by playing a Blood DK. It's the only thing I play, it's the only thing I'm willing to play, and that's because I am your tank. We need more tanks and healers in the game. Let's see maybe why you should play a tank or a healer in 12.1.
We cannot talk about potential mains for Season 2 without exploring the tanks and the healers, because we need more tanks and healers, and
sure
I
do.
don't mind being that one. Granted, it's these particular tanks and healers that I think are main candidates, because they're not all main candidates, unfortunately, as it stands as of this point. And we will go over in which ones there are in the initial stages of the Season 2 PTR testing, because there might be a final conclusion by the end. And until then, we're gonna kick it off with Blood Decay.
I will say a Blood Decay, the best one first, of course. Yes, perfect. Blizzard, those last round of patch notes we just saw, Blizzard's buffing healing and tanking damage, you know, healing output and tanking. So they want them to be a little bit more viable. We'll see.
Blood Decay is, as I mentioned in the DPS one, I really want to play Death Knight once again, and that is mostly because I kind of want to play
time
Blood.
again.
Now, I'm probably not going to be able to main tank in my raid. My raid already has the tanks that they need, and that's a little bit of a bummer, because usually my main starts with raiding. But if I do end up maining Blood Decay, will probably be in Mythic Plus, and then I'll just play Frost on the side with my guild, depending on what they want.
Sure.
And that's gonna be how I scratch this itch, because I really miss playing a Death Knight, and Blood has been really fun. The tier set is decently good. I think it's just mostly passive, although I guess for Frost Decay I just don't really care that much, because I don't know if there's a tier set that you can make for Frost that makes it really for Blood rather, that makes it really interesting, because Blood just does some very unique things that
you heal your ass off
to tune or balance. Brewmaster is very close to becoming a hell no spec. Right, it's not that I think it's necessarily bad, I just don't feel any attraction to play it, and that's probably has to do a lot with how the hero talents have been made so incredibly passive and boring. Those were some of the highlights of playing Brewmaster in the War Within, because I did main him back then in Mythic Plus
Brewmaster not looking as good,
and it was so much fun to play. The Midnight version is just a little bit more meh, a little bit more bleh, a little bit Exploding Cake is definitely interesting. They definitely made it a little bit more interesting, and with the recast of Exploding Cake to do a lot more cool stuff. I don't know how the tier set will improve this at all. I just don't feel it. I haven't played it as much, but I just had like zero attraction to actually even touch it. I don't care at all.
The carpal tunnel tank.
Priest is very close to becoming a main, but it is an alt. In the DPS video, I talked about Shadow Priest being very high, and Discipline would definitely be an easy alt for me. It is very fun, and I do like the Void Shield being super strong in Oracle, and it's the hero that I've played the most.
Me selfishly, I like when Discipline Priest is good, because it's like a nice little buff to the group whenever they're there. And they do some damage. You know, it's nice to have a healer doing some damage. I like Discipline Priest. I do.
In PTR right now, and the one that I have the easiest time getting into, it feels like it has been definitely simplified quite a bit, but it also feels very samey. At least the Archon playstyle that Oracle, I keep saying Archon, it's Oracle. At least the Oracle playstyle that I've been engaging with, it gets very routine-y. You don't end up doing anything else outside of casting Void Shield once, as soon as it becomes available, buffing it with Wheel and Woe, and then just using Penance offensively or defensively, of course, spreading Shadow Word Pain and all of that, but that's about it. Evangelism is an interesting button, but it feels so low impact. I feel maybe only in raids it has like a really cool impact, and in Mythic Plus, and the thing is, in raids it's gonna be hard for me to find the healer spot. Once again, my guild is all good on tanks and healers, so it doesn't need any more.
Yeah, it's unique for a guild though.
Holy Paladin has dropped from very high praise that I had to an alt.
No, it's
a decent alt so far. It's still fun to play, and they are giving Holy a lot of attention in Season 2. It's not changing a lot, but they are very aware of what Holy can and cannot do. I'm pretty sure they have a rework in the pipeline, or at least planned, but
they just buffed Holy Paladin this morning by 6%. So I don't know if that changes his attitude here, but yeah, alt, I guess.
Obviously cannot get it out in time, so they're just buffing it and nerfing it aggressively in certain areas. Mostly buffs, to be fair. So that kind of gives me a little hope that there's some cool stuff in the future for Holy. I kind of like the version of Holy that we have right now, but similar to Discipline Priest, it can get very repetitive after a while. It's a little bit more interesting. I can probably put it in front of Discipline. It's a little bit more interesting than Discipline, to be fair, but otherwise, Holy Priest is definitely a hell no for me, and
Oh, no.
it's the healer slash tank that I dislike the
Hell no.
most. And this is from a very, very selfish and very biased reason, but hey, that's how we all interact with the game and in the world, so sue me, okay? But I really dislike the fact that we lost heal, greater heal, and things like that. I think we lost greater heal for quite a while, but heal most recently. I'm not a fan of Prayer of Mending whatsoever. It's one of the most boring spells in the game. If they could delete Prayer of Mending, I might just play Holy just for that. I feel like it's such a boring spell. It has a lot of synergies. It's such an important spell to use. I believe the Apex also works into it.
Honestly, I do feel like I haven't seen a lot of Holy Priests in the game. I feel like there's just not a lot of people playing Holy Priest lately, and this is probably why.
Half of the talents work into it. The hero talents work into Prayer of Mending. I just
Greater heal was removed and miss, really?
And
damn,
the most iconic things that Holy Priest always had that was always made me cool to cast is like those big fat heal casts, which obviously are replaced with flash heal right now. And Holy Priests that are playing it love it. That's fine. You guys go enjoy your Holy Priest. You play the class that I cannot play. Guardian is also an interesting main candidate, similar to Blood.
There it is.
I crave playing a Druid just for the sake of playing a Druid.
Guardian, I mean, they were the champions of last season. Season 1, it finished with Guardian Druid just slapping its Guardian cock all over everybody. It became the second most played spec in the game. Like, I'm not just talking about tanks. It was Retribution Paladin and then Guardian Druid. They literally brought a bunch of people into tanking probably that had never tanked before because... First of all, it's an easier tank to play, let's be honest. You know, you're just basically swiping that claw across everyone over and over. But also because, I don't know, the big bear fantasy, people like that shit too. And we know a lot of WoW players are actually furries. So there you go.
And I'm definitely not going to main
That's how I justified it in my head.
Druid specs outside potentially Bear. Bear has been made more and more interesting as time passes. It's kind of like at a crossroads right now, I feel, with its design. I still don't know exactly what it's trying to do because it clearly has the two flavors of Bear that I super love that are not incentivized enough or empowered enough. You have the Arcane Bear, Galactic Guardian, Elune's Chosen, all of that, and then you have the physical Bear, Sundering Roar, Raise, Killing
Arcane
Blow,
Bear,
which is also really cool. Probably play with Druid of the Claw, but it feels like no matter what, you're still going to be playing bits from both talent sides, and that's great, but they're just overperforming. Like you're always probably gonna play Orsak's Fury with Galactic Guardian with the Arcane Bear, and okay, that's fine. But the fact that the synergies are all over the place just make the dichotomy of the bear or the flavors of the bear kind of a little bit inconsequential. Since again, there's no real choice. You have the same cookie cutter talent builds. You maybe change about 2 or 3 nodes based off of what hero talents you're playing, and I feel like that's too low of an impact for bear. I don't know why I'm telling the bad parts, because the good parts are just bear is just very fun, and I start to feel once again that I'm a big fat sponge that can just take a lot of punishment. I like the changes to the Apex talents where well, I don't like the bear ghost just running around and pulling everything, but I like that it's a little bit more interactive and I have a proc that I can respond to and then kind of, you know, proc the bear to just go and pull everything all over the place, which is probably gonna get fixed, hopefully not too late, because that's gonna be funny. I'm not gonna invite a bear in my group if they're not gonna fix that. I am afraid of looking at Mistweaver because every time I play Mistweaver, it edges closer and closer to main. But considering that this is not the final tier list and I still want to test it, I'm going to put it there.
Yeah.
Mistweaver just reminds me a lot of why I love to play Monk. And it's definitely, in my eyes, the best Monk spec at the moment in terms of its design. It still has a level of depth and complexity that I still like to enjoy in a spec. There are a couple of things that I don't like on Mistweaver, which is why I'm not sold off, but I've been saying too many negative things about specs that are potential mains, which is a little bit weird, so I'm just going to talk about the fun aspects of it. Being able to be
spinning
super
crane
mobile
kick
is incredibly...
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like to spin around and heal? Why not? I mean, that's the good thing about, I guess, all the Monk specs, really, is mobility. I mean, if you like being hyper mobile and healing at the same time, or tanking, I mean, even tanking, they're hyper mobile, but just being able to heal and be hypermobile, yeah, this is the one that you'd want to pick.
Engaging, having...
They nerf spinning... I know, they nerf spinning crane kick. Yes, they did.
Enveloping Mist and Vivify feels like... I haven't played Mistweaver for a long time, and this is something that I'm still not used to, so whenever I played it, it reminds me of the old days when I had to sit still and then just heal nuke one of my allies, and being able to do that feels like, it's like, oh my god, back in my days, we used to struggle struggle so hard. It's so much better now. It's that kind of vibe that I have. And the duality of fist weaving versus casting, well, you know, Way of the Crane versus Way of the Serpent, although Way of the Crane still seems to reign supreme, is very nice to have. I hope they get to be a little bit more competitive with each other, and I can play both if I ever end up maining Preservation. Not Preservation, Mistweaver.
Yeah, Mistweaver.
Because Preservation is going into the hell.
Oh,
no.
Oh, no.
I really liked the initial version of Preservation when the class was announced.
It's like, I don't know. Blizzard just struggles with evokers in general. All right, with evokers. It's a tough one for them. It is. Apex talent and the Apex talent. You talk about Mistweaver, yeah. But look, he liked Mistweaver, so but evokers, man, they just struggle. They just do. The Scaly boys are lame. I don't know. Blizzard's just they can't figure it out. Even Devastation, we just saw buffs them this morning, but they've been struggling lately. So it's like, whatever you do with Evoker, it's going to be a hard time, it feels like.
And every other rework of it feels very risk-averse.
Augmentation, I will take that back, though. Augmentation last season was good. But Augmentation's like hit or miss. It either has a season where it's completely unviable, or it has a season where it's meta. It's like there's no in-between with them.
Not interesting enough to pull me into it. If anything, Seedlings had the most interesting interactions that I could have hoped. That was kind of fun, kind of goofy, kind of like, ooh, blossoms on everybody. That was cool, but they tuned that down as well, because of course they did. So they did do some pretty cool things with Dream Breath, but that feels like it only applies to people who are one-trick preservations that would probably enjoy that. I personally don't enjoy that as much. Prop Paladin is also going through an identity crisis.
Ooh.
As of now. We're still not sure what the final version of the talent tree is. Again, you're probably watching this a little bit after we've recorded it, so there might have been changes announced since, but as of recording this video, we've had two Prop Paladin talent changes. Well, they initially borked it, and now they kind of fixed it, but it's still a little bit awkward because I still feel like I have to take some talents that I really don't want. Not to mention, it looks like it's going to be a consecration season, and as long as they have golden path style talents where consecration does 5 damage, consecration heals for 3 health points. Like that type of tuning to consecration.
I mean, look, for a while, Prop Paladin was looking like it was going to be the meta tank of the season, and it still might become that. But they nerfed it a lot since then. I don't know if this morning they got a 6% buff to their damage. They may have. I know Prop Warrior did. I don't know if Prop Paladin did. I'd have to go back and look at it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how good they are. I think right now all the tanks are in a decent spot.
Just feels so boring, and having to optimize a hero talent that wants, oh, did you know that if you pick Lightsmith, and you pick this hero talent, then your consecration does 4% of your overall damage? You can take that and shove it where the sun don't shine. I don't care. I want spells to be impactful, and I want consecrations to be big, especially if it's going to be a whole season surrounding that ability. Prot Warrior is always very close to becoming a main once again. Once again, it seems
the old faithful
more or less boring in the next season. No particular great changes. I'm playing the exact same talents every time. The exact same rotation is one of my all-time favorite specs, and I still love what it's doing, but I've just seen it all. It just doesn't bring anything new to me.
I call Prop Warrior Old Faithful. It's just a safe bet. Like, it's never going to be really bad. Probably will never be S tier either. It's just always going to be good. And you could always depend on a Prop Warrior to show up and do their job.
I cannot honestly consider it a main. I love what it does, but I've already did it. It's like playing classic WoW all over and over again. I know some people enjoy that, and that's great, and I'm happy for you, but I've done it already. I kind of want something else. And that something else is definitely Resto Druid. Resto Druid is what I dub the only real Druid spec that Druid has, since it's the only real Druid spec that interacts with most of its shapeshifting abilities in meaningful ways. You shift into Bear, I guess like every other Druid spec, to be particularly tankier, and there are very rare situations where you actually have to be a Bear to kind of take over from your tank as your tank gets its bearings back, if he or she died, or if you just res them or whatever. You obviously go into a cat or a chicken if you want to cat or owl weave to do damage, and that's really great, and not to mention mentioned that you have cool talents that I personally like
Resto had a good
Master
season
Shapeshifter, which
Sean,
is
Druid.
funny that only Resto Druid has in his Resto talent tree instead of just the Druid class, but I digress. It's kind of like the only Druid spec that makes me feel like I'm a Druid, and that for me is very close to being a main, and it would be the
I know. No, guys, you guys are saying he doesn't know and I don't know. No, I think most of his stuff seems pretty much in line with the patch notes we've been reading. Yeah, there's some stuff that still lines up with last season. It doesn't have to completely flip the meta every single season. But no, I think most of his takes so far have been right.
the main healer, the candidate that want to main him more than anything else on this list. Resto Shaman is a potential alt right now. It has an interesting tier set with Healing Rain, probably more interesting than a lot of other specs. It has the potential to become a main. I'm not 100% sold on it. Once again, it's a little bit too simple for my taste, but it's the kind of like the good kind of simple. It's not too bad, but once again, I've seen what Resto Shamans play
I think
in season 2.
And Resto Shaman this entire first season and this second season, I think will be a good bet. I think Resto Shaman's pretty good. So I'd put it in main. If you wanted to main a healer, I actually think Resto Shaman's a good one. But he put it in alt category.
In terms of their talents and the playstyle, again,
I guess he
feels
thinks
very
it's boring.
samey. It's just the exact same one. It's very hard to have divergence in your playstyle if your talents are just almost doing nothing. There's a couple of talents that just buff Chain Heal, and a couple of talents that just buff Healing Wave, and a couple of talents that just buff Riptide, and you kind of play almost all of them always. Or you're ignoring one aggressively. I think it's the Heal Wave ones. I haven't seen Heal Wave being played in quite a while. Okay, enjoy it. I've played better versions of Resto. I don't want to play this. Demon Answer is still holding strong for me in season 2.
The leather
Vengeance
assless
looks
chap
like it's actually going to be a strong tank. Now, if you haven't followed our off video content, particularly our stream, twitch.tv/MarcellianFlame, we, Marcian and myself, have different mains for Mythic Plus. This expansion is the first time that we're doing this, where we have our raid mains, which we think is fun and we don't really care. But in Mythic Plus, we tend to gravitate towards meta, because I think, okay, well, listen, if in raids we're just gonna play whatever we like, how about we try meta for Mythic Plus? And Vengeance is currently my probably favorite tank to play in Midnight, and if it also becomes meta, then I'm probably gonna be a main tank in season 2, at least insofar as it comes to our key pushing, which I am excited for because I love Vengeance. Nothing particularly amazing changed for Vengeance, but his playstyle was also really good. Baseline, it was just very squishy, and I personally dislike playing squishy tanks, which is why Prop Paladin is way lower than the other tanks. It's actually the lowest tank as of this point. Squishy tanks just makes no sense to me. Just be tanky. You're a tank.
Right, I agree.
And I talked at length about the DPS mains that I have right now, which are in this video right here. And I talked
The guy
about
loves 2 buttons.
why some of the tanks and healers are in the main category right now, and they have to do a lot with why the DPSers that I've put in the main category are in the main category. So how about you click it and see what you think?
Yeah, I look nice video overall. Some of you guys were disagreeing with him totally. I think I agree with most of his stuff. I do think Resto Shaman is worthy of main spec territory. I think Resto's been pretty damn good. Overall, I think a lot of the tanks are going to be in a better spot. Okay, he had Prot Warrior at a lower tier. I think Blood DK is going to be amazing. Unbiased opinion, but I'm just saying that. If you haven't tried a tank or a healer before, picking it up in a new season, I think it's a good shot. Give it a shot. Give it a try. Your queues will be much shorter, and if you're good at it, you find the game much easier, I think, to form up groups and everything across the board. Nice video overall from Marcellian and Flame.